Hi, everybody. How are you today? I'm Bill Schaefer from Growing Boulder with another Life During COVID segment in partnership with the awesome people at Florida Blue Medicare. Now, we're all trying to figure out what is the new normal that we keep hearing about. What's it going to be for us? What's it going to be for us at work? And what's it going to be like away from work? Do we go to shows? Do we travel, go to concerts? Well, we're going to get some insight now from a guy who's been a big part of the travel and hospitality industry. He's taught it at the University of Florida and the University of South Florida. He's been a consultant for Walt Disney Parks and Resorts, from Norwegian Cruise Lines and a number of others. And he is president of Florida-based DMR&S Consulting and marketing director at Sant'Anna Institute in Italy, where he lives half the year. Interesting perspective, huh? So let's say hi to Greg Dunn. Greg, it is great to have you with us. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Delighted to be here, Bill.
Can I start off asking you about Italy? Were you there when this started to happen?
Yeah, crazy kind of timing. We were there, and I had a trip planned around the middle of February or so to come back to the States to do some personal and business travel. And it was just breaking out at that time in the north of Italy, but there was no restrictions, lockdowns. They said we have this virus issue, and there really wasn't a pandemic. There wasn't a panic along those lines. And we said, well, we need to take our trip anyway, not knowing what would evolve in Italy over time. And so, yes, we were there just when things were starting to get hot after China announced that they had some real issues, but didn't really reveal a lot, according to a lot of news sources, right? So, yeah, it's we talk every day to friends and family and colleagues, and we're very fortunate to be here in the United States. I'll tell you right now, because they've been under a month and a half, and it will go to 2 months or so of house stay, and it's enforced by the military and the police. Therefore, you can't leave but once a week. You go groceries maybe, or go to the pharmacy. Now, today and yesterday, they were relaxing some of those rules for non-essential businesses, but you'd be subject to a 3,500 euro fine if you left, and/or some other additional penalties. So, a month and a half in the house, basically. So our prayers and thoughts go out to everybody in Italy. They've really struggled. They've got a clamp down on everything in the country. And the North has really been battered pretty hard and taken it really hard. The South, because of the early, I think, intervention, has done much better. And where we live in Sorrento, which is in the Campania region, which includes Naples and Salerno, south of Rome, it's been, we would say mild. It's still severe, but it's mildly severe, right? So, it's a challenge, and we didn't know anything was going to happen or evolve or be there, and we're not sure when we're going back.
So here you are in the Sarasota area. There are a lot worse places to end up having to be than in Sarasota. So thank goodness for that. But do you notice, you watch the news now, and everybody here, a lot of people are starting to get itchy to get back out and try to get back into work and regular life. Is Italy ahead of us as far as that goes, or are they still in the same situation?
They are ahead of us mentally, but still through almost a I would call it martial law approach. Basically, you're on lockdown with penalty, then they're enforcing the government's orders, not just making recommendations and having people say, or states say, we like to do this, we like to do that. And they've been successful with a very, very challenging and terrible start to this virus effect, and mitigating it and slowing it way down. They're seeing great progress on a daily basis, as bad as it's been, but it's taken some real extreme measures. And so I think we would all share the same caution. But we also know that they're also taking a huge hit economically. I mean, it's both arguments, right?
Something else that we share with Italy is Florida and Italy both really depend on tourism, which has been completely shut off. Is anybody going to be brave enough to venture out after this is over? I mean, how is this going to unwind?
Yeah, and people are, we see a couple things happening there. Obviously, if they venture out, it's going to be different. You've got not only the psychological effect of personal health and safety about venturing out. 2 is our suppliers going to be responsible. 3, I have to worry about everybody else. 4, then we got the lingering economic effect we can talk about later on, which is going to influence travel. But yes, there's a lot of pent up demand and anxiety Now that followed up with what's going to happen economically is going to change the way we want to go out and travel. But forever, even after 9/11 or the Great Recession, we've always had a pretty strong intention to travel. We send up travel differently. So we do things differently. We may take shorter trips. We may now travel within our own cars, with our own family. You take more control over the travel experience. That means also possibly you're renting more one-on-one homes and apartments and condos and those things instead of staying in mixed accommodations. And you're expecting a lot from anybody who's supplying, but people are going to want to get out. You can already see it as you're seeing it on the news.
Yeah, but still trying to get people to get on an airplane and not worry about it, or get on a cruise ship and not worry about ending up on the news. I'm guessing, maybe if we're confident enough, maybe we should have our credit cards close, because I have a feeling there are going to be some pretty good deals out there to try to get people to buy back in.
No doubt about it. We saw that. If nothing we learned differently from the recession was that deals are going to be on the market. I mean, we have overcapacity. We've been building like crazy in the hotel, the cruise, the air business, and everything else. And now with such low demand and extra capacity and the fear factor, I mean, prices are going to be really spiraling, and you can expect to see similar things like flash deals we used to see with members loyalty clubs and those things, and special one-offs just to get people on. But I think it's, how much money can you spend at advertising and marketing to reassure and get confidence and trust back in consumers that doing business with you again is okay. And we want to go, but we don't know who to go with. But so we're going to see a resurgence, I think, in going with trusted partners and or those that demonstrate, those that have been resilient along those lines, and less risk averse kind of options.
So that's about us going. What about people coming? Are people going to come to Florida? Is the appetite there to stand in those long lines at the theme parks or huddle in those crowds and do the things that the Sunshine State offers?
That's another side of the equation for sure. So two things we talked about people coming and going is, think about international travel. I'll just talk to Italy, for instance. They're going to come out of this sooner than we will, as the projections put forth. That means that they may be open for business and open for travel and departure, and then the U.S. may still not be. And then when we turn the corner, they may not want to have us in their countries because we're still kind of behind the eight ball on the status. And yes, it's going to be different. I mean, every part of the industry, cruise ships is suffering immensely. Airlines trying to figure out how to do social distancing in seats and still make capacity and make any money. It's a nearly impossible business model. Festivals and concerts and any kind of conferences, the conference business is completely rethinking their business models because of this, not only just the economic issue of people's looking for value and safety, but also the psychological issue. So it's going to be a challenge.
And Greg, even on a smaller scale, I mean, I know a lot of people who they've put off weddings, special celebrations, ceremonies, things that they wanted to do during this time that they're going to try to make up for down the road. Well, what happens there?
Yeah, we've missed out on a lot. I mean, one thing we learned, in several different instances, whether it was 9/11 or the recession, is that what's really important to us as people, as Americans, as anybody, is family comes right to the top of the list. One of the number one reasons we travel is to visit family and friends, right? So, and then with our inability to connect and be together and share milestone memories like births of children and people's birthdays and weddings and everything which is so memorable and special it's quite trying. I think that's where you're going to see a resurgence in those kind of multi-generational travel, where you've got grandparents and parents and kids who haven't been able to see each other, extended family gatherings, in a much more controlled environment, and also self-controlled environment where they kind of run the show and they take care of their own space in a way. So yeah, that's really where I think the resurgence is going to be, because people still want to enjoy all those things we've missed, but it's just a matter of how they're going to do it.
Do you have a vision for what you think it's going to look like, Greg? I mean, I'm wondering, is this good for places like Airbnb or bad? Is it good for guided tours or bad? Is it good for nature things because you're apart from people? I'm having a hard time kind of wrapping my head around what it's going to look like.
I think there's some things that you'll see. We learned a couple of things after the recession, and The pent up thing is one thing, cooped up inside. People want to get out of doors. Also, they may be a little bit pressed for money and or spend. So they may look to our national parks to get outside of the parks and recreational services where it's more remote and more distant, and you don't have as much density and customer interaction along those lines. For people that want to go to an attraction or event, it's going to be, I don't know how they can actually offer it in any short-term basis without having serious social distancing, but people are still going to want to do that. And how do you handle the public facilities and all those operational constraints, right? So it's going to look different. There's no doubt about it. There's an opportunity, though, I think, for adventure travel, remote travel, family travel. The Airbnb maybe, but the Airbnb has to be able to communicate that each of those individual owners is taking real responsibility and guaranteeing the sanitation, hygiene, and safety of their properties. Now, Airbnb is successful because of the value connotation, just like vacation rentals by owner, like condos, sold by owners or rented by owners along those lines. The value is there, but we have to be able to communicate that. The brands have an advantage by saying we have standards. We have met standards, we can communicate those standards. So there may be less variability. The problem is they're more dense. So you got maybe a higher standard implied in a hotel, but you have more density with other people and contact opportunities with other people. So an Airbnb or a VRBO or a condo that you rent or a home that you rent, the home rental market, the high-end rental market is going to probably be pretty strong if the economics hang on. So, yeah.
Well, I know you said you wanted to talk about economic impact. Do you mean in terms of maybe some of these places going under? Are we going to lose museums, attractions, hotels, places to stay, or just what do you think the economic impact is going to be?
Yeah, that's a $64,000 question, and we got a lot of modelists on that now. But if it's anything like, it depends on the duration and severity of the economic effect of this, right? How long we can be closed? Can the virus like SARS be passed through? We get by it, But with SARS, we didn't shut down the economy. We didn't shut down like we're doing now, right? We just took a look out for it. So this is significant, and I think, as quote Jamie Dimon of Chase Bank saying it could be quite nasty in some extent. So we are going to see some closures of businesses, some consolidations, some new business models going about their business model and format differently, to accommodate changing preferences and attentions and wants and desires along those lines. So yes, and then the whole meetings convention business. If now people want to take a meeting convention trip, who's going from the company, how long are they going to stay, where is it going to be held, and all that kind of stuff. So there's really, we can expect some decline in supply of our hospitality and tourism products, no doubt about it, and changes the way they go business. But the demand will come back. It always does. It took us several years to get over the recession, and we've been one of the most successful set of years in the past few years in the tourism and hospitality space, and consumer confidence was high. I'll quote MGM Global, who does a lot of travel research, and they do a traveler sentiment index, and they say that closely corresponds to and correlates to the consumer confidence index, that how confident and how do people feel about travel. And clearly, it'll take a dip here, and already is dipping for sure. I'm not sure when the next release is going to be, but it'll come back, and it will. It just may take longer. On the supply side, they're going to have to do things differently, and it might be a long time again to recapture the kind of rates and occupancies and demand and those things that we've enjoyed.
It seems like everything from restaurants onto the biggest resorts have the same challenge, and that's going to be how to restore confidence in the potential tourist. And boy, that's going to be the holy grail in getting us to all move forward to get back anywhere close to where we were.
Exactly. Then you have to think about customer interaction and customer experience. So how does Disney redesign, or Universal redesign their park experience? How does a hotel redesign their experience? How does a restaurant redesign their experience where people feel safe and they can do it profitably, because you need some volume to make these operations work. And so where do you stop having customers self-serve parts of the operation versus everything's discrete, by server only? I mean, it's significant challenges to how we do business, and we'll get through it. We always do, but it's going to be a different story.
Greg, I can't help but think this has been your life, your career for over 30 years, day in and day out. I'm guessing you never have seen anything like this. You've never anticipated anything like this. What's your overall take on this?
Yeah, the takeaway, I mean, we've been pretty resilient as a global economy in so many ways, getting through so many things. I mean, 9/11 was, who would expect that to happen? And so we could see it, an enemy in a certain way. I'm not going to use Trump's words, but the invisible enemy or whatever he says. But the idea is that, this is a virus, and there's so many books, Andromeda strain, all these things we've read about years ago, right? That this will never happen. A virus won't be able to shut us down the way it is. I think it's just a new reality that, guess what? It is. And as much as we pay attention to sanitation and hygiene and do such a good job in so many places, some things kind of jump the curve. And so, yes, this is unexpected. This is one of a kind thing, and hope we'll never see it again. But we beat SARS, Ebola, we didn't have a vaccine for Ebola, but we beat Ebola in so many places. So, I mean, this is beatable. And I think what one of your mantras is, we're in this together, at Growing Bolder. And it's really going to take that kind of effort to get it done. But the sun will shine again, as it does here in Florida today, and we'll get through it.
And once we do get some confidence back, there will probably be some pretty enticing sales for the bargain hunters out there and people who have patiently waited for this thing to pass. Great stuff, Greg. We really appreciate it. Greg Dunn. And folks, you can stay informed and stay connected because you'll find stories just like this one and many others, interesting interviews and stories on a very special webpage. And it really is interesting. You should give it a look. It's a one-stop visit to tips and resources and information and stories and interviews just like this. It's at growingbolder.com/COVID. And also be sure to like both Growing Bolder and Florida Blue Medicare on Facebook for daily updates. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you, Bill.